I've worked for the New York City Sewer Control Division for nearly 15 years, and in that time, I've seen a lot of things beneath these streets. Rats, broken pipes, flooding, things that most people would rather not even imagine. But nothing prepared me for the sound I heard that cold morning last fall, a sound that would stick with me for the rest of my life. It was a Tuesday, gray and windy, the kind of day where the city feels heavier than usual. My crew and I had been assigned to inspect a series of old stormwater drains in a quiet part of Brooklyn. These drains hadn't been checked in years, and complaints had been coming in about blockages and foul odors. We were ready for a dirty, ordinary job. As we worked our way down the line of grates and pipes, I bent down to listen near one of the larger drains. That's when I heard it. A faint sound, muffled by stone and metal. At first I thought it was just the wind whistling through the pipe, but then it came again, a soft, desperate cry. It was a meow. I froze. "Did you guys hear that?" I asked, turning to the rest of the crew. My partner, Tony, cocked his head and frowned. "Hear what?" "Shh. Listen." We all leaned closer. And there it was again, the thin, heartbreaking cry of a kitten, echoing up from somewhere deep inside the drainage system. "Jesus," muttered Marcus, another one of the crew. "There's a cat stuck down there." We stood in silence for a moment, the reality hitting us. The city's drains are no place for a kitten. They're dark, filthy, and dangerous. If it had fallen in, there was no way out on its own. Without help, it would die there, cold, wet, and forgotten. Not on our watch. We followed the sound, moving from grate to grate until we pinpointed the section of pipe where the cries were loudest. The pipe was old, reinforced concrete, maybe 3 feet wide, half buried under the street. The meows were frantic now, and I swear in that moment, every one of us felt the same thing in our chest: urgency. "This pipe's sealed tight," Tony said, tapping it with his crowbar. "We're gonna have to break it open." "Then let's break it," I said. We grabbed our tools, sledgehammers, chisels, heavy drills. Each blow we struck echoed down the street, sparks of dust rising into the air. The kitten cried louder with each strike, like it knew we were coming. The sound drove us harder, faster, until sweat was running down our faces despite the chill in the air. After what felt like forever, but must have only been minutes, the pipe cracked open. Marcus pried a slab of concrete aside, and suddenly, there she was. A tiny, soaked ball of fur, trembling in the darkness. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the dim light, and her voice was hoarse from crying. She looked so weak, like she had been down there for days. "Oh my God," Tony whispered. He reached in carefully and scooped her out, cradling her against his chest. The little thing clung to his jacket, shaking uncontrollably. The street around us was loud with traffic, people walking by, but for us, in that moment, everything was quiet, except for the soft whimpers of the kitten. "She's alive," I said, relief flooding through me. "We got her." We wrapped her in a spare work shirt and brought her back to our truck. She was shivering so badly we turned on the heat full blast. One of the guys ran into a corner store and came back with a small bottle of milk just to give her something warm. We called ahead to a local rescue center, a shelter known for taking in strays and giving them medical care. They told us to bring her right over. When we arrived, the staff rushed her into the back for an examination. We waited anxiously, like nervous parents outside a hospital room. Finally, one of the veterinarians came out with a smile. "She's dehydrated, malnourished, and frightened, but she's going to be okay. You got her here just in time." I don't think I've ever felt such relief on the job. We shook hands with the staff, thanked them, and left her in their care. For the rest of the week, every one of us kept talking about that little kitten. We couldn't get her out of our heads. A month later, while I was at work, my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello?" I answered. Hi, is this Mr. Rodriguez? Yes. I'm calling from the shelter where you brought the kitten last month. I just wanted to give you an update. My heart skipped. How is she? She's doing wonderfully, the woman said. She's healthy, playful, and full of energy now. And she's been adopted. I felt myself smiling, a weight lifting from my shoulders. Adopted? Yes, a young woman came in a few days ago. She fell in love with her instantly. She's giving her a loving home. I hung up the phone and sat there for a moment, overwhelmed. All the dirt, the noise, the exhaustion of this job, it all felt worth it. That little life, once trapped and hopeless, now had a future. Sometimes working in the sewers, you start to feel like what you do doesn't matter. People don't think about the guys underground fixing pipes and clearing blockages. It's a thankless job most days. But that kitten reminded me that every act of work, every act of kindness can ripple out further than we realize. We saved her life, but in a way, she saved something in us too. She reminded us that beneath the streets of New York, in the heart of all this chaos, compassion still matters. I think about her often. I picture her curled up on someone's couch, purring softly, safe and warm. And I feel grateful that on that gray Tuesday morning, we were there to hear her cry. If there's one thing I've learned from this, it's that life is fragile. Sometimes saving it is as simple as listening closely and being willing to act. That kitten could have been ignored, her cries lost in the rush of the city. But we stopped, we listened, and we chose to care. So if you ever hear a cry for help, whether it's from a person, an animal, or even just a faint voice inside yourself, don't turn away, because the smallest act of kindness can change an entire life. For her, it was the difference between dying alone in the dark and growing up in the warmth of a loving home. For us, it was the reminder that beneath the streets of New York, in the heart of all this chaos, compassion still matters.